6:03, and this regular meeting of the Moana-Kaka'ako Neighborhood Board is now has come to order. Thank you, everyone, for being here. The purpose of the neighborhood board is to encourage civic engagement. So we have our neighborhood that is a great place for us to live, work, play, and thrive. I'll turn this over to Ms. Camelia Gomes for roll call.
All right, Chang,
Here.
Chi,
Here.
Arenas is not here yet. Hashimoto,
Here.
Morella is not here yet. Rand, not here yet. Rice is not here. Vanderbrink,
Here. Here.
Chung, and Chair Lee.
Here.
Okay, 6 members present. You have quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Gomes.
Sorry.
Oh, Sherry's online. Thank you, Member Rand. Appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank
Okay,
you.
moving on to public safety reports. We have the Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening. I am Firefighter Yoshimura from Hawaii Fire Station with the stats and safety message. The statistics provided below represent confirmed number of incidents in the NHB's geographic area for the previous month. For more details on the incidents and related mapping information, please visit the fire response search tool on our HFD website at fire.honolulu.gov under the news and info tab. Should you have any questions, please email hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. And for the stats of April 2026, we had 5 nuisance fires, 1 cooking fire, 31 activated alarms with no fire, 136 medical emergencies, 3 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, and 1 mountain rescue. Nuisance fires include rubbish fires outside a structure or vehicle. And the safety tip for the month, wildfire prevention and preparedness. Hawaii is entering a period of increased wildfire risk. With dry conditions, tall grass, and shifting winds, 1 spark is all it takes. Most wildfires are human-caused and preventable. Take action today with these tips. Clear dry brush and vegetation around your home. Never park on dry grass. Hot exhaust can ignite it. Avoid activities that create sparks or heat during dry, hot, windy weather. Stay aware of weather and fire conditions. And for more information, visit fire.honolulu.gov and hawaiiwildfire.org. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you for being here. Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
I just want to be sure I heard you correctly. You said you had a mountain rescue in our geographical area.
Yes.
Where, can I ask, where was that?
That could be, no idea.
I assume you guys were deployed outside of our area. That's why, in order to do it.
Yeah, our station is in the rescue is in our geographical area, but there is no mountains in Kaka'ako or Ala Moana.
That's why I just want to make sure I didn't mishear you. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Any other questions? Okay, do we have any questions from the community for the fire department? Okay. 1 question from Member Chung.
I just want to confirm this. You know, we've been told by previous folks from the fire department that many times when people call you guys, it's actually because they hear this beeping from the smoke alarm. That's the battery running out beeping. It's not the alarm. So we've heard that many times you guys are going out for that. And I just want to draw people's attention to the thing I want to confirm with you. Does the American Red Cross help senior citizens and other people do the battery replacement stuff?
I don't know about Red Cross, but we used to do smoke alarms for Kupuna before, and that program doesn't exist anymore as well. So most people buy their own battery operated smoke alarms now. And we do go to those types of alarms where the neighbors call because no one's home and they hear it beeping. But if we go there and there's no smoke and there's no fire, there's no real emergency, we just tell the neighbors to contact the owners to come home and change it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the community? Okay, Honolulu Fire Department, thank you for being here in person this evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, moving on to the Honolulu Police Department, we have Sergeant Aaron Osachuk.
Sorry, I'm not as tall as him. That's why I couldn't make HFD. So before I read off the stats, I'd just like to inform the board members and the public that we placed 2 new flyers out there dealing with 2 different apps that we use and utilize. One's going to be the Honolulu 311 app. That's just kind of like calling 911, but for non-emergencies. Allows you to text for things like water leakages, broken street lights and stuff like that. That way it doesn't tie up the 911 emergency lines. So if you guys want, you please go grab that, and you can download it on any phone app, phone system you have. Also, we have the Honolulu Alert flyer out here. It's the same. It's another app. This is more for weather type emergency, earthquakes, floodings like we had in Wailua. It's going to get out to you guys a lot faster than a radio or a news type thing. So please feel free to grab those flyers and download those apps. Okay, so I'm going to read the stats for the month of April. So our motor vehicle thefts the previous month, previous month prior to April was 9, and April was 10. Burglaries were 8, and April was 4, so that's a 4 drop. Thefts 117. Last month it was 83, so that's a significant drop as well from the month before. Unauthorized entries into motor vehicles, which are car break-ins, we had 9 the previous month. Last month it was 7. Assaults 22. Last month it was 11. That's a good drop again. Sexual assaults the previous month was 2. Last month was 6. Graffiti incidences the previous month was 1. Last month was 0. Drug-related offenses the previous month was 3. Last month was 7. And motor vehicle collisions the previous month was 113. Last month was 131. So it shows a slight uptick in motor vehicle accidents. Total calls for service in the month of March was 3,533. The month of April was 3,139. So roughly about 200 drop fall in service calls. For the safety tip of this month, I would like to let you guys be aware of impaired and distracted driving, more like aggressive driving too. 90% of our accidents are because of someone's being distracted, whether they're drunk, they're on their cell phone, they're inattention to driving, or they're just driving too aggressively for the roadways. A lot of these accidents also lead to deaths and serious bodily injuries. I like to encourage everybody not to drink and drive. It's not like when we were younger where we had to call somebody. You know, there's so many different avenues to get assistance, like Uber apps and stuff like that. So there's really no excuse not to drink and drive. And more importantly, also practice defensive driving. You know, don't assume that this person is going to stop at the other red light for you. You know, make sure you cross all your lanes and check all your blind spots before you yourself make that move. You know, don't just trust the other drivers themselves. With me tonight, I have the District 1 Command. I have the District 1 Second Watch Lieutenant, Lieutenant Lane Ogawa, the District 1 First Watch Lieutenant, Henry Lee, and the District 1 Captain, Scott Matsumura. And I will be turning it over to them.
Hi, afternoon, everybody. My name is Scott Matsumura. I'm the captain for District 1. Major Paul Okamoto, since his regards, unfortunately, he had another meeting that he's attending at the same time, so he couldn't be here tonight. But in addition to the stats that were already presented, just wanted to go over, I know you guys had a couple of questions from last month. We have been doing increased outreach and enforcement, especially in the Moana-Kaka'ako neighborhood area, for a lot of the homeless complaints in the area, especially in the parks as well. So for the past month, was just about 4 weeks since April 28th, the last meeting. There's been a total of about 40 citations for creating, maintaining sidewalk obstructions, 10 citations for obstructing sidewalk, 115 citations for various park rules, 99 citations for park closure, 15 citations for sit or lie on a public sidewalk. Through various projects that we were able to run throughout the district, there was a total of 8 bicycles recovered and 30 shopping carts that were turned in or recovered and returned to the DFM. As far as Ala Moana Park itself, there was 55 park closure citations and 3 arrests, 9 citations for tents in the park, 6 citations for laying at a bus stop, 2 liquor violation citations, 2 smoking in the park citations, 4 citations for animals in the park, 8 stored property citations, 14 arrests for contempt, which are warrants, and 4 dangerous drug arrests. And there was 1 stolen vehicle and 1 driving without a license arrest as well. And that was all within Ala Moana Beach Park. There was complaints recently of a large former, I guess, commercial van or like handy van type vehicle that was parked in Cook Street area, Cook and Pohukaina areas. That was a problem for a while because it was hard to actually get in touch with the registered owner. Everything was expired, and there was various different people that were kind of living out of it and moving it around to various places. But we were able to encourage them to leave the area, so the van is no longer there. They refused our normal services to try and get into shelter. So, but hopefully, from last I heard, they moved closer to the actual shelter itself, though. So, hopefully, they're taking us up on that offer. Let's see here. Oh, there was also a question you guys had about the missing stanchions over there on Kapilani Boulevard, blocking that no left turn onto Sheridan Street. So our administrative lieutenant did make checks with that on DTS. They are aware of it. They know that they need to be replaced, but unfortunately, they were not able to give us any timeline for that. So no ETA at this point. But DTS, it is on their schedule, and they do know that they need to be replaced. Okay. Oh, and there was also complaints you guys had regarding somebody mentioned a bunch of like e-bikes at night on Kapilani Boulevard, I believe. So First Watch did and they made checks, but unfortunately, I mean, they didn't see any large groups like what was described, and the e-bikes that they found were not in violation, so there weren't any citations issued. But they did make regular checks of that area for those issues you guys brought up. And as far as the bar closures you guys mentioned, like at the district and the bars down at the area, they do make regular checks and they do go for bar closures, especially on Friday and Saturday night. But unfortunately, due to various caseloads and other calls for service, I mean, they're not going to be parked in front of that area and just like sitting there all night waiting for stuff to happen, or like preventative measures. Unfortunately, we don't have the personnel to staff that the whole time, but they do go regularly, especially on Friday, Saturday night. And then we also just like to also highlight there was great work, teamwork done by the Day Watch personnel. There was 2 vacant lots next to, one is on Kapilani Boulevard, right next to Sky Ala Moana and the Renaissance Hotel. That was, because it was private property, it was hard for us to get in there. We didn't have authority unless the property owner or the property management allowed us to go on there. There was a couple of homeless individuals that were kind of making it their long-term habitation area. Through the great efforts of Day Watch, they were able to coordinate and get in touch with the property manager as well as the owners next door from Sky. And through their cooperation, they did allow us to go on there and talk to those individuals. We offered them services. They declined. But in doing so, the property manager was able to take a more active role, and they did get that area cleaned up, and those individuals moved out of there. So whether or not something actually gets built, that's a whole nother issue. But for now, it's going to be cleared out, and they're going to be maintaining it a little better, according to what they told us. But because it's private property, it's up to them. And then the second vacant lot is the one on Sheridan Street. Recently, they had a fire on there. You might have seen that on the news. That has actually recently been leased to Paul's Electric, and they're very enthusiastic about making use of that property. So they're actually starting to move in heavy equipment now and beginning to clean up the property and move those people out as well. And then from now on, Powell's Electric will be the ones taking care of it and maintaining the security of that area. If there's any issues or anything that comes up, obviously they're going to call us for assistance. But for right now, that company is going to take care of the lot. Okay. And other than that, just to reiterate, please take a look at those flyers that we dropped. A lot of times, I know for not just your guys' neighborhood board, but just neighborhood boards in general or the public in general, a lot of times you guys have a lot of questions on different issues that you guys want taken care of. And sometimes it's not always the responsibility of the police department. A lot of it is for like, broken street signs or missing signs or like repaving the roadway or stuff like that. That 311 app will really help you guys out with that because it will better direct you guys to the correct agency that should be getting those reports and then hopefully making those fixes. And then the other one for the H&L alert, that's just to keep everyone apprised of the any emergencies that pop up. Okay. Other than that, thank you very much. You guys have any questions?
Thank you. Questions from the board? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink and then Member Chang.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm glad to see that HPD is taking a more active role in our area, especially when it comes to the park and the homeless communities from the area that, with concerns that we had. My question was related to what I brought up last time, which is the bars on Kona Street. More enforcement there. I know my ask was more towards the closing time of the bars, which is typically between last call at 1:30 and when the crowds disperse 2:30 in the morning. I know, I just want to bring this up again. I know you mentioned it, but because of the shooting outside the Gap City Bar and Kaka'ako, because that also took place at like 2:13 a.m. So right after closing, and it was someone firing a gun into a crowd. And, thankfully, only one person was hit, but just concerns about the amount of crowds that can leave these bars, especially with people that are drunk, and especially when fights or altercations can break out. Because just to sound like a broken record, I'm not sure if you were here last time to hear me, but HBD and Waikiki area, they're on Lure Street when the bars close at 2 and 4 a.m. District 1 here in downtown area is on 4th Street Mall when the bars close at 2 a.m., especially like Scarlet when large crowds leave. So just reiterating the concerns that I know you can't be outside every bar when it closes at 2 a.m., but especially the troubled ones, the ones where fights break out, the ones you have calls from previously, if an officer can just go by there during that 45-minute period between like 1:45 and 2:30 when it's most likely to have issues during bar closing times, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. We will pass that on. And like I said, as much as their caseload and whatever's going on that evening allows, they do try to make as much checks as they can, especially like you said, towards the bar closure time. So, but we'll let the night watch guys know about that.
All right, thank you.
Member Chang?
Hi, glad to talk about the parks. So this board's responsible for these important parks. Among them is Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. So that's been such a troubled park over the years. We've had dog attacks that have been on the news. There was this one where the poor woman had to hold her baby above her head while 3 dogs savaged her legs because there's no one there to help her. And so that was in the past. My question to you is, well, there was extreme trouble there before, whereby we've had people from the medical school come and appeal to us for help to talk to you guys. For example, the Children's Discovery Center also has been under attack for many, many years. People defecating there on a regular basis, starting fires there against the building and so on. What's the trend now? Do you see it being really much less troubled than before? It's got a terrible history.
For that specific park, Kaka'ako
Yes.
Waterfront Park, yes, is definitely not like it used to be like several years ago when there used to be on those side streets down there. There used to be kind of a large encampment of people that live there, and even in the park itself. It's nothing like that today. Our night watch units, as well as our bikes and ATV units, they make regular checks at that park. So it's much better than what it used to be. As far as the actual numbers, sorry, I don't have specific numbers for that park right now, but it's definitely a lot better and a lot less crime than it was just a few years ago.
Fantastic. So upcoming, we're going to have a event across the street from that park, the Italian Festival. It's coming right up. So I've got a report from someone there that at a previous festival, what had happened was that prior to park closure, there was a tow company that started towing cars early. Now that sounds like a pretty lucrative scam to me because, you know, they're taking away your car. What are you going to do? Argue about it? You just want your car back. So you're going to pay. Okay. So in other words, this is appearing like criminal activity by the tow truck companies. They go early. Okay. They're not enforcing the law. They're just collecting cash from people by basically extorting them by taking away their cars. So I've got a specific report about that having happened at a previous Italian festival because people do park their cars there. It's in the neighborhood, but the tow trucks show up early and snag the cars.
Okay, so your question is about the tow company?
That's right. Have you received this type of report before?
No. So my suggestion would be if somebody has an issue with a tow complaint or they think their car is actively being towed away, you know, without reason, they should definitely call 911 and if an officer gets there while the car is still there, they can try and work it out at that time and determine whether or not that tow is valid. But if the car's gone already, there's nothing we can do. We cannot tell the tow company to bring the car back. The only other avenue for them to bring up their complaints would be through the Department of Customer Services. Sorry, I don't have their phone number offhand, but they're the ones that handle any type of tow complaints where there's a dispute over whether or not it was legal to tow the car or whether or not they would charge like the correct amount to actually tow the car or store it. The Department of Customer Services is the one you guys want to contact regarding tow issues.
Okay, so customer service is with the city.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. For the community, is Mr. Ben Israel here by any chance? Okay. Well, we attended another community meeting last Friday, and we met one of our neighbors, Mr. Alvin Dinio, who is here tonight. And he is the general manager for the McDonald's in Keomoku. Mr. Dinio, did you want to say anything or bring something up? And if you do, if you can go up to the mic. Sorry, Mr. Dunya, if you can go up to the mic or borrow one of our mics, just so, because this is all recorded, but I want to make sure that, you know, since HPD is here for you to take the opportunity to be able to address them.
Hello, my name is Alvin from McDonald's in Kemoku. So I just started there and recently we have that system that we have at the store where we have we're calling out whenever there's some kind of incident that happens at the store. Lately, I've been getting a lot of people sleeping in our front of our property, and we call up cops here and there just for that. And the thing is, what's difficult is that sometimes they're sleeping not in our property area, just like within the public area. And I have people standing right at the exit of our drive-through, and a lot of the times is I can't do anything with that because they're not in our property, right? And when I call the cops, sometimes they just watching them and just until they step into the property. So we had a lot of incidents where it's really difficult to trespass them and stuff unless they are in our property. Yeah, so that's the only difficult thing. And another thing is that also had the Bear Tanya right here. McDonald's right in the back area. Yeah, there's a lot of homeless in that area. I know it's not in our property, that's for the next building. But when that building closes, I mean, they're very prominent and they sleep in that area. They have encampment going on in there too, and right behind in that area too. So it's just kind of difficult what we can do. And then also when it comes to trespassing, I know we have our own forms before, and now you guys have a form that we use or something. That's when some of the McDonald's, a lot of McDonald's that the Makako, because I'm under Makako, we have our own form, but the cop says we gotta use you guys' forms moving forward or something. So is there like a form where we have to use when we do trespass people?
Sorry, there's one template that we do use for
Yeah.
businesses that don't have the means and ability to make their own trespass.
Right.
And sometimes when we do go to McDonald's or other places that do have trespassing.
Yeah.
Maybe their employees are not aware that they have it, so we give them our templated one
Because,
they're both are valid.
yeah, okay. So it's okay to use our, because we were told we were have to use yours. Stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, we have a form that's specific like to all the McDonald's. So even though we trespass it to my store, then they could be trespassed at different, I mean, at all the McDonald's. Is that true?
Was in certain cities, like Walmart has a system like that.
Yeah.
That's not from Walmart.
You trespass for them. Yeah.
I need doubling it.
Okay, so we
As
could,
long as you're trespassing.
Check 1, 2.
okay, that's good to know.
But they gotta have the different, usually I don't know how many downs are on the island, but I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's gotta be, the different addresses on the.
Okay, okay. Because we had one and we were told, we had a meeting as a GMs
Mhm.
and a lot of the stores, the people in Waikiki, they were told that they can't use that form anymore. So we're kind of revising it, but if we can still continue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure what the form
Yeah.
looks like. I haven't seen a recent one, but if you have your own, internal McDonald's
Yeah,
form
we've been using.
that was, given to you or advised to you by your own like legal department, it should still be valid
Okay.
for trespass warnings.
So another question I have, so like example, if I'm within the community, the next door neighbor that we have,
Mhm.
am I able to, on the trespass, share that to our community, or is it only specific to my store?
Sorry, what do you
So
mean? share?
example that if I trespass someone, would I
Yes.
be able to share it to like my neighborhood?
Like the
area?
neighboring businesses and stuff like that. That's really up to you, but that form is not going to be valid for any other business but yours.
Yeah. All right.
So you cannot use your form and say they're trespassed from like the, Jack in the Box
Yeah,
next
yeah,
door or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be separate.
All right.
So,
Because I'm kind of working out with the church next door, and then because we have all the
yeah.
they would be defecating, or sometimes our trash bin is close to them and they would unlock our trash bin and
Mhm.
dump all their trash in their area. So it's kind of like that's the tricky about it is that
Oh, okay.
we have, I mean, how do I get this guy not to do it? They would grab our trash and take it out in our property and then do it in the public or next door area or something like that.
Yeah, so sorry that's happening.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the best I can tell you is obviously as soon as you see something happening,
Yes.
definitely just call us. And depending on the where the officer is at the time,
Yeah.
hopefully they can get there right away and actually witness what's going on
So
themselves.
a lot of it is happening
address it
during the
directly.
overnight shifts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
And as far as like the actual like property, like for your guys' actual McDonald's property, like the trespass would only be valid if they're actually on your property. If they're
Yeah.
standing on the sidewalk in front of it,
Yeah. Can't really do
we
anything.
cannot trespass
I
them
got
from you
you.
guys.
Yeah, because a lot of it is like my property is right there and then
Mhm.
right at the exit and they're just standing there, can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on what they're doing. So that's
Or
why
they're just
if
like
the,
a
if the
lot of
officers-
standing and asking for money and they're
Yeah, so
having
they cannot be doing that, like soliciting stuff for money
Okay.
and stuff like that, or blocking the exit or blocking, impeding the
Right,
flow
right.
of traffic, stuff
Okay.
like that. So there's different things that the officer would be able to address
Right,
depending on what they observe at the time. But that's why, unfortunately, it would be very helpful if you guys just call when it happens, and then the
Right.
officer hopefully will get there quick enough to actually see them doing it in person.
Because a lot of the times when I called the officer, the recent incident was a couple weeks ago. I would call the officer because these guys were like sleeping, and I tried to ask them, and they wouldn't move.
Oh, to
Um,
wake up.
Wake
Okay,
up. So
okay.
when cops come, they would
Yeah.
just normally just try to force them to
Mhm.
get up and stuff like that. But sometimes it takes like 10 minutes for them to get out because
Mhm.
they're under the influence or something or
Mhm.
some kind of. And that's the difficult part is I mean, more so it's about the safety of our people. So
Mhm.
when the cops come in, they just do that. But when is the time when I ask for trespassing that person because they're incoherent and they're not even talking?
Mhm.
That's the hard part. So how do we?
Okay, and those people are on your guys' actual
Yeah,
property?
they're on our properties because a lot of, I mean,
Mhm.
they're so out of it. I mean, really, and how do we get them to trespass? I mean, most of the times the cops would just wait for them to get out of the property,
Mhm.
but more likely they're coming back the next day and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so I mean, every instance is different. Every situation is different. So it just depends on what is going on at the time and what the
Yeah.
officer observed. And some of them might be familiar with these people, so they might be
Yeah.
able to get their information or already know their information
Okay.
to complete the trespass form. But, depending on their condition too, I mean, the best thing might be to actually get their medical attention too, right?
Right,
So
right.
we want to make sure that these people are okay and not just like,
Yeah.
having
And
some kind of medical issue right there on your
And there's
property,
another thing,
so.
you don't know what they could do. That's why a lot of my people, as far as McDonald's training that they provide to us is we don't want to touch them or get involved.
Yeah, definitely,
because
because
you never know
you don't
what
want
they
to
might
expose
have.
your workers to,
Exactly.
undue risk and everything.
Right.
So that's why always our suggestion is to just, if you need an issue, just call the police, just call
the police.
911.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr. Dino, thank you for bringing that up. And, we want to acknowledge the Ala Moana Neighborhood Historic Association for connecting us, and that's Bishop Sear and Shingon Mission. So thank you for being here. Sorry, HPD, we have a couple more questions for you folks, if you could
Sure.
stay a little bit more. One question from Member Chi, Treasurer Farinas, and Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Hi, Sergeant Osachek. Nice to see you, and Captain.
Yes.
If either of you, I'm going to direct this to you.
Sure.
Recently, my neighbor, she's walking her dog, and she and her dog got mauled.
Mhm.
And I noticed the perpetrator has been on the media, or on the news rather, a warrant for his arrest, Kenneth Morrow. I wanted to get an
Oh, okay.
update of what's happening with that. And to my understanding, there was another incident where his dog, same situation, where he couldn't control his dog, and his dog mauled another. So we're concerned. We'd like to know, and it puts us on alert.
Yeah, as far as the other situation with, I think that was before the one that was on the news, because for the one that was on the news, his dog was actually confiscated by the Humane Society. So as far as we know, it has not been returned to him yet. They have to go through the hearing process. As far as whether or not he's been apprehended yet, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Yeah. So I think the warrant's still valid. They're still looking for him, but I don't believe they found him yet.
Just to clarify, so that his dog was surrendered then under.
Yeah, as far as we know, I mean, we don't have like the real-time updates or anything, but as far as we know, after that incident and the case was made, the dog was taken to the Humane Society and it was held there. And as far as returning it to him, they have to go through this legal process before they make that determination. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you. So my question, we fall under the sit-lie ban, correct? In the Ala Moana area?
Parts of it, yes.
Parts of it. Would
Yeah.
the McDonald's and Keamoku be considered part of it?
Not on that part of Keamoku, I don't believe.
Okay, I just wanted
No,
to.
Not that far up on not right in front of the restaurant, no.
Okay, 'cause I just wanted to follow up on what Alvin brought up there, where if they have homeless people that are technically in the bushes, that are technically off of their property and on the public sidewalk.
Yeah, I
they-
mean, that's why it would be helpful for them to call and have an officer actually observe whatever is going on, because
Mhm.
there are other laws that may be applicable, whether or not they might be blocking the sidewalk or just creating a mess. It could be just like littering control.
Mhm.
Just depending on what's going on at the time. So like I said, I'm unfortunately sorry. Every situation is different, so it would probably be best for the officer to observe what's going on at that time and address it.
Right, would you be able to pass that along to your officers, that especially for the McDonald's and the surrounding businesses, that they do have homeless in the bushes that are technically just off the property, if they could just try to find a way to resolve the issue instead of just leaving them there if the businesses call HPD on them?
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have them make sure that they go and make contact with the business. Anytime something like that comes up, we want to make sure that the actual call and the problem that they're bringing up is addressed. So yes, we will pass that along.
Right, thank you.
Member Chen.
Back to the dog attack situation, since we've had many reports of terrible dog attacks in our district. Does the police department break out dog attacks as a specific item? How is it filed with you guys?
What do you mean by breakout? I mean, it's a different, it's classified as its own separate criminal offense. There's a dangerous dog section, and then regarding people that get bitten by dogs, if they're attacked without any provocation, yeah, that's a separate offense. So it gets categorized separately that way. Other than that, yeah, I'm not sure what your question is. If it's
Well, because, of course, the stats you guys come here and share with us,
Yeah.
doesn't include dog attacks.
No, it doesn't. So,
All right.
yeah. So, I mean, because as far as we know, like, I mean, that one obviously was pretty bad and it was on the news and it got a lot of coverage. But overall, um, with all the different types of crimes that we do handle and report on, to be honest, dog attacks are not very high up on there. There's not that many. So that's why we don't report those statistics. We can try and look it up and provide it to you if you'd like for the last, month or two. But as far as like a regular statistical reporting, it's honestly, it probably won't amount to much. So, not for this area.
Okay, thank you, Member Chung. Let me go back. Is Mr. Ben Israel here by any chance? Okay, I just wanted to bring that up just because because you folks had already addressed it and the response was very rapid. So I wanted to thank Major Okamoto, yourself as well, Captain, and Sergeant Osterchuk for addressing that. Do we have any other questions from the community? Bishop Sir, if you want to go up to the mic. Yeah, it's recorded, so we want to make sure that we're able to hear you.
Thanks, Captain Matsumura. Quick clarification on the sit-lie zone.
Mhm.
Very odd. Kilmoku side of the McDonald's comes all the way up to South King Street.
Mhm.
On the Sheridan side, it ends on Leona Street. So it bisects our the temple, Shingon Mission.
Mhm.
Right where our secondary parking lot is, that's where the sit-lie zone ends. So technically, under that article
Mhm.
from, I think it was Dos Santos Temp,
Mhm.
when they did the expansion of the Chinatown BID, it ends right on Leona Street.
Mhm.
So just that small clarification, it's weird. When you look at a map, you can't really tell. But because we're so invested in that area,
Mhm.
we went ahead and had it checked out. And yeah, the sit-lie actually does cover your property and 3/4 of ours on the Sheridan side.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions from the board or the community, we thank HPD for their rapid response to our community issues and for being here in person, which we emphasize we always appreciate so we can talk to you directly. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Okay, the time is now 6:40 p.m. We have our presentations. We have the Kaka'ako updates with Mr. Daniel Sandermeyer, the Managing Director for the Real Estate Land Division of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Aloha kakao. Oh, sorry. Aloha kako. Don't leave me hanging. Aloha. Thank you. Chair, community, board members, mahalo for the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Daniel Sandemeyer. I am the Managing Director of Real Estate for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. With me tonight is Robert Chong of Environmental Science, Inc., who is part of our consulting team for this effort. Because environmental conditions are one of the important questions around Kaka'ako Makai, we have also provided a 2-page information. I will provide, it's in a folder over there. I'll hand it out afterwards and have some extras. 2-page flyer for environmental issues in plain language. Tonight is intended to be an update and a conversation. We want to briefly introduce Aloha, explain the context around our lands in Kaka'ako Makai, share where planning stands today, and more importantly, hear your questions, concerns, and mana'o from the community. This is a 20-minute presentation. I will try and cut it in half. A little about OHA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. It's different than Department of Hawaiian Homelands, or DHHL. We were created in 1978, Constitutional Convention, to address the needs and betterment of conditions of Native Hawaiians. That kuleana is reflected in the statute on the screen. Our work includes programs, grants, advocacy, research, asset management, and land stewardship. Land is one of the tools OHA uses to support its broader mission. Next slide. We have a strategic plan. Our Mana I Maoli Ola, MIMO, focuses on education, health, housing, and economic well-being. Our land holdings are part of that broader responsibility, not just real estate assets. They carry kuleana to the lahui, and they should be managed in a way that creates long-term cultural, community, and economic benefit. Next slide. Kaka'ako, we're familiar with. It's located midway between downtown and Waikiki, south of Alamana Boulevard then the area is approximately 170 acres. Next slide. Multiple landowners there, including in order of size of land owned, the city, the city is the first one, state through HCDA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and Kamehameha Schools. OHA owns the 9 blue parcels totaling approximately 29 acres. These lands came to OHA in 2012 as part of a settlement for unpaid public land trust revenue that the state of Hawaii owed to the Native Hawaiian community. Value at that time was accepted to be $200 million with the understanding that housing would be allowed in the future. And that history matters. These lands were not simply acquired as a private investment. They were transferred to help address a debt owed to the Native Hawaiians and were conveyed by an act as if the properties had been paid of the income and proceeds from the public land trust. Next slide. Oh. So in the PDF, and you're going to have to go back really quick, look at the 2 circles. Go back one more. So we lost something, which is a background image, a map. And since we're all familiar with Kaka'ako, the large circle in the middle there is the Children's Discovery Center. The smaller circle is an old incinerator. What is Mauka, up page, is landfill, and what's Makai is landfill, what's Mauka is reclaimed land. So bear with me. This slide helps clarify one of the common elements or questions about Kaka'ako. What kind of land are we talking about? This is one of my longer slides, so this is going to be really painful. Mauka of this blue line is reclaimed land. Can we just go back a couple to the map? Yeah, okay, Mauka is one more back there. So that you can see it in Olonahana Road and the Children's Discovery Center. So Mauka is engineered fill placed over time with dredge material, coral, rock, and construction fill. So similar, exactly the same as other areas in Honolulu, Ala Moana Center, Waikiki, Ala Moana Beach Park, and Sand Island. Other areas include historic landfill conditions. So the Makai side, where you see the park, that is ash, waste, and other materials from past uses. The incinerators were there. Currently, one is the Children's Discovery Center, and those were in those red circles. Fun fact, our trustee, Senator Brickwood Galataria, a former senator for this area, District 12, used to live in this area across from where Jabson is today. He lived there from 1955 until he was 12 in 1967. So when we talk about this land, we're talking about not just fill, infrastructure, environmental constraints. The area has real history, including communities and people who lived here and worked here before it became what it is today. Next slide. This slide shows the current HCDA planning process in Kaka'ako. The HCDA is the state agency responsible for planning and regulating the development of Kaka'ako Community Development District. So they set the area plan, zoning rules, height limits, allowable use, design requirements, public access standards, and the review process for all projects. So while OHA owns 9 parcels in Kaka'ako, HCDA is setting the rules and plays a major role in determining what can happen in this area and what, if any, future projects must follow. HCDA is currently updating its Makai area plan. They've had a presentation here at this board earlier in the year. And for OHA, this is an important opportunity to participate as a landowner and listen carefully to the broader community. Timing note, this is the timeline that HCDA and its consultant have shared, but we feel that there may be some time moving in this because we're already into well through May and we haven't had that second scenarios workshop. Next slide. Community concerns. We know the community has concerns. Here are some of them. Next slide. I'm going to get into our images. So these are the massing studies. This slide explains what's currently allowed on the Mauka side of Kaka'ako under existing zoning. These are there are a few basic zoning rules that shape what can happen in the parcel. use, height, setbacks, and floor area ratio. Use is what activity is allowed. On the Mauka side, you can have housing, office, and retail. Height is the maximum height of the building. On the Mauka side, that can be up to 400 feet. So that's why we see those towers. Setbacks, how far the building needs to be pulled back from the property lines of streets. In the Mauka area, setbacks are generally nominal. So buildings can be right up to the property line practically. And FAR is the floor area ratio. In simple terms, it is a measurement of density. It compares the total building floor area to the size of the land. So for example, if you have a 1 acre parcel of land and a 3.5 FAR, zoning would allow you to have up to 3.5 acres or 152,000 square feet of total building area. That floor area could be arranged in different ways depending on height, setbacks, parking, design, other requirements. The key point is that FAR does not tell you exactly what a building will look like. It tells you the maximum amount of floor area that may be allowed under zoning. The cool gray buildings here represent the projects on the Mauka side either, and these are all other developers, not OHA. These are under construction or are entitled and are expected to be developed. On the Mauka side, 400 feet, 3.5 FAR, housing allowed, office retail use, nominal setbacks. Next slide. This slide shows the no, go back. Yes, thank you. This slide puts it all in context. The warm gray buildings here represent OHA's Kaka'ako Makai parcels. This is a massing study, not a final design, not a project that's been thought through. This is just an illustration, a rendering of what OHA would do currently, as long as it's not housing. So it's simply a planning tool that shows what could fit within today's zoning rules. For comparison, the Mauka side is 400 feet. Makai, where OHA's parcels are, 200 feet. You see the other buildings, the existing Gold Bond is around 120 feet. Jabson around 6 stories, 75 feet. And those are the relative heights. So the larger point is that OHA already has the right to utilize its land under current zoning, but those rights are limited on the Makai side versus the Mauka side. Next slide. This slide shows Mauka side of Kaka'ako. Again, not OHA's parcels. The gray buildings are the same ones that were represented in the other view. So there's a wall of towers along the Mauka side of Kaka'ako, of Ala Moana Boulevard. Next slide. The warm gray buildings represent what OHA could build today. Again, half the height, much less density. The FAR here, I should note, and the heights depend on the parcel. So the closer to the harborfront parcels are limited to between 40 feet at where Reuse Hawaii used to be on that side by Pier 1, down to up to 65 feet along the harborfront, and then 200 feet height in the inner parcels. Also, there's greater setbacks. So the SMA, shoreline or special management area, has a greater setback, approximately 65 feet. So the massing would have to break down as it got toward the ocean. Next slide. This shows the potential connectivity that we would envision all the way from Magic Island, Ala Moana, across Kewalo Basin, and through the property and connecting into Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. Next slide. This is Fisherman Wharf today. You can see much of the site is underutilized with surface parking, older structures, and limited public activity along the waterfront. In fact, none. There's a fence you can't get to. So this is important context. When we talk about the future of Kaka'ako Makai, we are not talking about replacing a fully activated public waterfront. We are talking about lands that in many places are not currently serving the community as well as they could. This is one of the areas where planning has to address real site conditions, including flooding, sea level rise, environmental constraints, circulation, and public access. So hopefully this is our before and in the future, next slide, and after, which would be building setback terraced to absorb the sea level rise, same as the Mauka, an activated harbor, waterfront, promenade, and an exciting, joyful, livable place to work. Next slide. This is a watercolor version of the same massing studies that you saw earlier. So I'll go through a series of these quickly. We show these as the same basic planning ideas, but in a softer, more humanized way so people can better understand the potential experience of the place. You see all of the Kaka'ako waterfront park, the connection of that green all the way through to Magic Island, Moana Beach Park, Magic Island beyond. Next slide. Here we are looking at the beautiful sun setting over Waianae. Again, not a final plan. It's just an illustrative version of the same planning study intended to show the potential character and feel of the waterfront in that more humanistic way. Next slide. This is another watercolor version. Now we're getting down into street level community view. You see the peekaboo views to the ocean, the connectivity, the indoor-outdoor space, and gathering places. Next slide. That waterfront activated harborfront promenade. Mahalo for the opportunity to be here tonight. I appreciate the questions and feedback. Look forward to continuing this conversation going forward. This will not be the last time I will come here. Commit to coming going forward and answer questions that I cannot answer tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandemeyer. Questions from the board, Member Farinas, and then Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you for being here and presenting this proposal of this revitalization of the mixed-use area. So my question to you is, how is the EPA Brownsfield grant being utilized prior to doing this? You know, as we're aware, this was once an industrial area, landfill, as you pointed out, and whatnot. So how do we safely develop this area?
That is an excellent question. I have just the right guy to answer it. So could I call Robert Chong up from Environmental Science? He is currently administering our grants. He's done a lot of the research and can confidently answer all of your questions. Thank you, Robert.
Because I believe the two intersect, right? I mean, prior to development.
Correct.
Okay.
So Brownfields Assessment Grant, the first step for the Brownfields Assessment Grant would be site characterization. So I don't know if people have heard of a phase 2 environmental site assessment. You go in there with under the Department of Health. So the Department of Health has regulations under the state contingency plan and perform a phase 2 environmental site assessment. So that would be identifying the contaminants of concern, looking at the history of the site, what activities were conducted at the site, and what potential hazardous substances might be there. From there, you develop your sampling analysis plan, and you go out and you actually perform your sampling. So you'd be doing soil sampling, probably groundwater sampling, soil vapor sampling. You get all that data in, and then you look at that data and compare it to the different environmental action levels that they have. The EPA has environmental action levels. The DOH, Department of Health, has environmental action levels. And you evaluate the hazards that those contaminants, that those concentrations pose to whatever it is that the future planned use of the property is. And based on that, you then develop your remedial action or your removal action. How are you going to address those hazards? And then from there, you implement those remedial actions or those removal actions. So right now, we're basically in the site characterization phase, looking at the site, looking at those parcels, developing sampling and analysis plans to determine how we're going to do the sampling, and then from there, evaluating the hazards. Hopefully that.
So we don't know truly how bad it is at this point because you're still in the beginning phases of your sampling.
Right. Well, we have done, there have been several environmental assessments done at a bunch of those parcels. And in 2014-ish, OHA had a brownfields assessment grant as well. So there's been some previous environmental assessments that have been there. So we're looking through all of that data. And right now, it's looking somewhat similar to other sites in the Kaka'ako area that have been developed with contaminants. When you look across the street, you see the Howard Hughes buildings, you see, the Aliyah Tower going up, and most of those sites have been impacted too. So it'll follow that same process generally.
Thank you. And we hope you do return, of course, of your redevelopment proposal, but I'm very interested, I'm sure as my neighbors are very interested to know how well that land is and just to be able to, develop it safely for everyone and future generations. So So good luck and imua to you guys.
Thank you.
Second, Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, and thank you for this presentation as well. It's very informative. I know I was at the workshop at Moana-Kaka'ako, where there is a large turnout of crowd with a lot of questions, and there's a lot of answers provided. My question is related to Native Hawaiians. Since this is OHA's land that's being utilized, I'm wondering, would any percentage of the homes that constructed there be set aside for Native Hawaiians, especially with the recent point in time homeless count that was done that showed upwards of 40% of the homeless community being Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, and many of them that are homeless are on the wait list still?
Yeah, actually, excellent question. And it drives straight to the point. And it also goes back to on my second slide where we get confused with DHHL. So the way that we can achieve that is through a partnership with DHHL. And that's something we're exploring currently, to have a DHHL project right here in Kaka'ako, Makai.
Right, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay, Member Chi, then Member Chang, and then Member Chung.
Hello. Thank you both for, let's see. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate both of your time here. So this is a question that I've posed to Howard Hughes, given their development of Kaka'ako Makai, and they've never done a good job of answering this question. So I'd like to pose this question to both of you and ask for your insight on this. But I guess it's a two-parter. The first part is, with the development of Kaka'ako Makai, with OHA's vision of what to do with the parcels, how many years in the future are you looking at as far as what your development is going to stand up to when it comes down to the impacts of climate change, and then also just long-term longevity for community, residential, and commercial use?
So it's not a vision. Currently, those illustrations are just how much building can be there because there's so much bad information out there about multiple 400-foot towers. What we're saying is it's not that. When you ask OHA is committed to Hawaii and Hawaiians. So in perpetuity, I would answer your question, honestly, and we would look that far forward. But I can see why other developers have problems answering that question, because everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's what it's going to be. So we'll see what those things that come in and how we roll with it. But there's going to be a long process of master planning, community involvement, and decision-making that happen. There's not an answer to that particular question.
Yeah, thank you. In perpetuity is a much better answer than the 50 years that I've gotten from some other developers.
Let me check that then. In perpetuity is conceptual. There are laws that we have to follow, standards that are published by EPA, DOH, DPP, et cetera. We'll adhere to those.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Part of the reason why I asked that, and then I'll hand this mic off, as I know other board members want to ask questions, but the reason why I asked that is because, to be very truthful and very honest, in at least the illustrations and in the planning that I'm seeing, I can see it withstanding for the next 50 years or so, but when you look at most of the sea level rise maps, at least the ones that came out prior to the current federal administration, most of Kaka'ako Makai, pretty much all of it, and most of Kaka'ako Mauka as well, is going to be underwater once you hit about 6 feet of sea level rise, about 2,100, give or take, which is what we would expect. And I would be wary about sinking that money and that investment into a parcel of land that may not be usable in the way that we design it today when our children are using it. And that's just something that I think about when, not just OHA, but of course, for example, the developers further uphill in Kaka'ako Makai present these ideas to us. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I know this isn't the end of it, so I'm looking forward to the future opportunity. And thank you for taking the time and being here to have this dialogue and conversation with us. We really appreciate you guys.
Likewise. Thank you.
Member Chang.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Just because I'm on the business side of things, how much is going to be commercial versus residential on this project? Do you have any ballpark idea?
We have market studies that show that retail is not there's not a huge demand for more retail. So not as much. The real demand is driven by housing. So retail would be servicing those housing. This would not become like a destination retail center.
Okay. Just looking at your renderings, looks like it's straight out of California or something. Is there going to be any localification of the way it's going to look?
Absolutely. A Hawaiian
I
central
mean, I
place.
understand this is for rendering purposes, and I understand that you're putting this out there to give us an idea, so
Yeah.
we don't have too many wrong expectations that you're just going to leave it and have a couple low, low density properties. This is to give us an idea. If we were to max it out, this is what it could look like, but it may or may not be this way.
Well, to max it under the current rules, yeah, this is illustrative. It's to have a sense of what it would be like, not just a sugar cookie or sugar cube model.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I get it. I was just trying to make sure that I understood that, this is an investment for OHA to maximize your investment so you can get the best return out of it.
Well, our best return is for the Native Hawaiians to answer questions like, how do you get Native Hawaiians housed there? That's not a maximum economic, otherwise Howard Hughes would be all over it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We're doing many things with it. And a
I
Hawaiian
understand.
sense of place to make Hawaiians feel comfortable coming to Kaka'ako is really important as well.
Good.
Yeah.
I would like it to be successful.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Member Chang. Member Chung.
My question is about the improvement of the neighborhood, particularly the park. So are you under a scheme where you're responsible for a park dedication fee? The park dedication fee is normally assessed to developers. They can either pay cash or they can target certain park development. So obviously, since we represent this neighborhood, we would love it if the park dedication portion were to impact the parks directly adjacent to your development.
Right. So what you're referring to is either you pay a fee in lieu or land. There's plenty of land there for the parks. I'm expecting that the fee would be the way to go, and that would be what we'd explore. Yeah.
Okay, just so I understand, you're saying that there's existing parks there, which is true. There's a lot of space there.
Mhm.
But of course, those parks around that area have been very troubled, as we were speaking to the police about earlier, so on. So what I'm suggesting is you consider that the park dedication fee, which could be, it's a horse trade with the city is what it is. You dedicate cash, you dedicate land. So if you could dedicate a portion of the resources that naturally flow from the law, from your development to that neighborhood, we would appreciate it.
And we would support any effort to keep that money local and the improvements local. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Community members? Okay, if you can go up to the mic.
Hi there. This is not in particular relation to this land development issue. It's about another issue that falls within the Kaka'ako district. In the news the other day, there was a announcement that OHA may be purchasing KITV. Do you know anything about that? And I'm just wondering how that benefits your constituents.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any information on that, and I can't comment.
Okay, thank you. And you're Miss Randy Jung for our records. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from our community members in person, online? Okay, representatives from OHA, thank you for being here this evening. The time is now 7:07. We are moving on to our second presentation for the evening, community outreach from the Military and Community Relations Officer, Macro, and we have Ms. Zoe Wilkes and Ms. Randy Jung.
Aloha, everyone. Thanks for having us here. Yes, again, my name is Zoe from the Military and Community Relations Office. We also go by Macro for short. So just wanted to introduce a series that we've been holding. It's called Community Conversations. And so just kind of giving some background on this is it's essentially basically an opportunity to get community input on the military in Hawaii. And we're mainly focused on two questions. The first is, what might a suitable approach to military training in Hawaii look like if shaped with community input? And secondly, what would it take to meaningfully improve the relationship between the military and the community? But here today, we actually have a survey that is available to you all. I have hard copies here today. Would need those back today as well if you do choose that version. But I also have a QR code version to an online version that you can access until this Friday at 3 p.m. So it does include the two questions that I just focused on, but also has some other ones as well. And so really just kind of some more background on the purpose of this series is, we found that conversations about military land in Hawaii are often held in separate places. I think there's, too rarely do we see varying perspectives seated at the same table. And so that's kind of the purpose of having these community conversations. We're really just trying to create a space for more honest and respectful exchange. To be able to move forward on this difficult topic. So also, if you would be interested in actually joining a community conversation, so these have been looking like about 5 to 10 people. It's about an hour, and we take summarized notes from group members. Nothing is attributed individually. So we take this in, and then this will be shared with the Office of the Governor. And so we'll just take those summarized insights for reference in future engagements. So if you'd like to connect with us, we're over here. If you do want to pick up a hard copy or scan that QR code, I have that as well. And yeah, feel free to let us know if that's something you'd be interested in as well. If you want to do a community conversation, if you know a group, if you know someone who would like to be more involved as well, we're happy to connect with you on that. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Zoe Wilkes. We have a question from one of our board members, Member Chi.
Oh, so sorry.
No.
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you and your colleague for being here. We appreciate you taking the time to be out here this evening. I have kind of a two-part question, I guess. The first part is, to be very honest, I'm pretty confused. I'm familiar with Macro, but I'm not entirely clear what Macro's goal is. Is Macro's goal as an organization as a whole, is it to establish more positive relationships between the local community and the US military, or is it to advocate for local people's interests and needs with the military? I'm curious to know kind of what's the goal of Macro as an organization and what's the objective?
We really are just the middle person. You could think of us in that way. So we really, yes, kind of to your first point, we are focused on just bringing everyone together to benefit Hawaii, to benefit the people of Hawaii. We are a state office, and that is a part of our mission.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. Just a second parter, just for my information. I'm sure this is publicly available information, but what is Macro's operating budget on like a year-to-year basis, and how does that work?
Oh, that is a really good question. I don't have that number actually off the top of my head specifically, but can give you just some general background. So yeah, again, we are a state office. We are federally funded. But I'm happy to get back to you on specific numbers, but I actually do not have that exact number on hand.
No worries. Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm sure if I looked it up on my phone, I could figure it out, but I don't want to look up my phone while we're in a meeting. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Member Chi. Member Chang.
Okay. Okay. Is it on? Okay, sorry. Do we have a issue with Hawaii's military? I wasn't aware that we had any issues. I mean, I think the military is great. I grew up in Waiawa. I'm at Schofield Barracks, so it's my backyard. And to be honest, the military in Waiawa is pretty much what kept that town afloat for a long time until, population grew and there was more business. And the military still contributes a lot of money just from the servicemen coming into town and, using the services in there. And I'm sure it's the same for all the other bases that we have. So I can tell you, I think the military is great. I wish there were maybe more. I don't know. I don't think that there can be more, but I think that they contribute a tremendous amount to the Hawaii economy. So I'm pretty happy with them. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Chang. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink, and then back to Member Chi.
Thank you. So I'm not so familiar with macro, but I did have a lot of, I did grow up in Wahiawa. So just like he mentioned, I also saw the military and how involved it is in the community up there. But my question is, if people had comments or questions about military lands, especially with military testing, or if they had any questions or concerns about RIMPAC being here, especially being in the downtown area, we do see a lot of people from RIMPAC that go to the Waikiki area and come through our neighborhood. Would this be the type of resource to share those comments or concerns?
Absolutely.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Chi.
I think to Member Chang's point, and I say this as someone who has family members that served in the military, including my grandfather, and people who passed away in the military, keeping Memorial Day in mind. There is a bit of trauma in the community, and it's a bit of a stain on the military when it comes down to Red Hill. Pun unintended, pun intended. But I do think Red Hill has tarnished the military's the military's image in Hawaii, and I'm sure this is something that macro recognizes. And I think there's big things that the military does need to do beyond performative things that really demonstrate their commitment to the community building out here if they are to have and retain their presence here. And I say this not so much as an advocate for either having or not having the military here, but as someone who inherits whatever decisions the military as well as the community makes. And I think the military has brought its own economic benefits as well as environmental detriments to the community, and that's something that I think we all recognize as a whole. But I do believe there's a new direction that the military can take and that the community should be engaged in that process. And so I do appreciate this time and initiative that Macro is putting in to engage with the community. And hopefully they'll come to solutions that the community is very invested in.
Thank you, Member Chi. Member Chung, and then looks like we have a question from a community member online.
Okay, my question is about fostering cooperation with the local community through the tradition of the makahiki. Okay, and that's something I know the Air Force has done, the Navy has done. I'd like to know what your office is involved with, if at all, with the makahiki.
Not our office singularly, individually, but I will say that our office absolutely supports and greatly values traditions like the makahiki. Do you have any maybe kind of further expansion on that? Like, did you want to know?
Well, yeah, from what I can tell online, it's been held periodically and sort of, how can I say, like the Navy has something they do at Pearl Harbor. The Air Force, I think, was doing something at Bellows. But but maybe the state is in a good position to sort of coordinate things so it has more community impact, because it seems to be siloed, with the different departments and different locations. But maybe folks with the state understand the Makahiki better, are in a better position to reach out to local people. I just think it'd be an interesting thing for you guys to do, to act as a coordinator.
Absolutely agreed. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And then we have a question
I'll
online.
follow up with you about that. Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Member Chung. Miss Johnny May?
Oh, thank you, Chair Johnny May Perry. Are you gonna go to other neighborhood boards with your presentation?
Yes, that is the goal.
Because you're living out Lelehua, Wahiwa, you're living out Waianae, you're living out the Big Island. And my understanding regarding the Red Hill, they are not allowing members to participate in the contamination, where community want to participate with the military, but the military is denying their requests. And there's a Kapuna Council that works with the military. So hopefully, and I like all the board members question Mr. Cheese and all the others. They're very on target on those questions. And I know the lease is coming up with the state. So I hopefully that you want to be what you say, honest and respectful. Hopefully that is true. And we look forward to seeing you at the Y9 Neighborhood Board. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Perry, thank you for that question. And Ms. Zoe Wilkes, thank you for being here, as well as Ms. Jung. Do we have any other questions from the community? Okay, we appreciate your outreach to us. Oh, so thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, board, the time is now 7:20. We are moving on to board business, approval of the April 28th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any edits, comments, concerns?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we'll just, okay, all agree, say hi. All opposed? Okay, board meeting minutes approved for April 28th. Thank you, board. Board vacancy for sub-district 3. So as we mentioned in our last meeting, one of our board members resigned. And we have that vacancy. Do we have anyone in the community who would like to take on that position? Does not look like it. So we will add this back to our agenda for next month. Okay, neighborhood board participation in the 2026 legislative process. As we all know, the legislative session wrapped up this month, so I'll turn it over to Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink for any updates that he would like to share.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just go ahead and
Okay, while he's doing that, I do want to commend Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink for having our board be more active in the process this year. I know he has turned in testimony on behalf of our board, so okay, looks like we're good.
Thank you, Chair. So this is just a graph just to kind of illustrate how the bills that we supported went during session. We started out with 20 bills, went down after the first cutoff, which is the first lateral to 15, first decking to 11, then 9, 7, 3, and we ended only with one of the bills that we supported passing, which I can kind of say was a surprise to me because it was actually HB 1875 related to healthcare, the gender affirming care, and that was kind of surprising considering the bills that many of our legislators did introduce, which were actually, I thought, had a lot of support. But this graph also kind of illustrates how many bills we start off with and how many bills can end up getting passed. And I think it's just kind of important to illustrate that a lot of bills are introduced and very few make it through the entire session. As well as I did have some recommendations just going into next session to try and make us more effective in our supporting the bills. I won't go through all of these, but I do actually want to make sure it's written out in our folder because you never know what happens. I do plan on being on the board going into next session, but we never know what happens, and I'd rather have these in writing. So if I do happen to leave for whatever reason, someone else can take up the mantle. And I'll mention it now instead of during the action committee portion, but I do actually want to engage our legislatures more during the action committee, inviting them out so we can actually share more as a neighborhood board about issues that we have that we want to turn into bills, so that way they can hear these ahead of time, perhaps even draft bills based on that. And that could even get more members to submit testimony either of the board or of the public. But that's being said, this will be uploaded. I'm still grabbing all the testimonies I submitted just because it wasn't a streamlined process. But I did filter them all through Chair Lee before they were submitted. So I'm just making sure I got them all, and they'll be uploaded to our public Google Drive. So that way any member of the public can see them. But as they're also public testimony, so anyone can go back in the testimonies and read them from there as well. But yeah, I guess any member of the board have any questions for this?
Okay, thank you. No questions for the board. And again, I commend Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink. So he has turned in testimony on behalf of the board. And for next year, if the board supports something and people do want to turn in individual testimony as well, that would be to increase the numbers, whether it's in support or in opposition of a bill. That option is out there. So thank you for that wonderful graph and the suggestions. Okay, moving on to the voter registration drive. I know Secretary Morala had brought it up last month, but the goal is to go to a farmer's market, hopefully right before the primaries, just to get people out there to register to vote. Action committee updates. First Vice Chair Rice could not be here. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrick is here, so we can get an update on action committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair. This is actually going to be fun because I missed the action committee meeting, but I did have Member Rice's notes to go off of. So luckily, the first action committee meeting I missed is the one I'm going to speak on. So per her notes, we did get approval from Sam's Club to do outreach to put up a table and chairs, which they will provide. So for that, we're trying to get a weekend schedule, ideally on a Saturday, to do some outreach at Sam's Club there. And it would be good to get some other neighborhood board members to help with that instead of our normal trio or 4 members. We did have questions about reaching out to the residents at the Park at Kaka'ako, as it is a new building and quite a substantial number of new people are moving into it. It would be good to talk about the neighborhood board to them and try and get them to come to our meetings, or at least be able to view them online. So I'm not sure if we could perhaps enlist NCO to send a mailer to all the residents in the Park at Kaka'ako, or if we need to engage them in setting up a table there. Either I think could be really helpful. HCDA did grant requests for a table at Ko'alu Park on the Makai side by the playground. So again, like with the Sam's Club, it would be good to get more neighborhood board members to help in the area. We do kind of have the 2 sides of our neighborhood now that we can have tables at the Sam's Club, at the Farmers Market, and at Ko'alu Park in Kaka'ako. And besides that, there was continued discussion on the noise issue in Queen and Waimanu'usiri, which I believe we'll talk about later, so I'll leave it for that. And I saw Sophia had to leave our meeting, but this next one is for Councilmember Nishimoto's office. But we do want to continue to have more park cleanups, especially at Ala Moana Park, to help clean the area, since we can only do one section of it previously, but we do want to team up with the council member's office to schedule a park cleanup later this year. That being said, back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink, for those updates. Attendance and presence at other meetings and events. I know I put the AMNHA event on the bottom, but if there are other meetings and events that any of the board members would like to bring up, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. I'll make this one fast because it's not in our neighborhood, but whole PE, the planned development community that's being constructed by DR Horton. I did attend, go with a group there that actually DR Horton put on an event to talk about their planned development in the area and how it's been going over the last 20 years and how it's going to go over the next 20 years. But because it's not in our neighborhood, I don't want to go over every little detail, but some key points. DR Horton took on all the infrastructure costs for the area, not just the housing. They put in all the roads, all the sewer, all the water, electrical. They said that because of that and the costs that it did levy on them, that in today's environment, they would never have accepted that type of project. So I think that just goes to show that a lot of these planned large developments, perhaps even the Kaka'ako one, might not go through with today's environment based on high costs. So that's something to keep in mind, especially when talking to our elected officials to try and get more housing in our communities. The next one I think is particularly striking was DR Horton was building all the infrastructure, all the housing, but there was land set aside for a high school and an elementary school over there. And they drove us around in a bus, and the high school and elementary school, which should be partially constructed by now, are just completely empty lots because the state actually hasn't picked up the time or construction yet to do it, despite the fact there are hundreds of homes in the area, and a lot of the keiki over there actually have to be bussed out of the area for schools, for elementary and high school. So I guess it goes to just holding our state accountable to making sure that they do hold up to those promises. It's not in our neighborhood, but again, it just goes to show that when we do have these housing plan communities, if the state doesn't do what it's promised, then it really damages future housing that might be built in our area. But that's all. I just want to talk about that, and back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink. Sorry, moving on to our candidate forum. So we've mentioned this in the last few meetings, and I think the general consensus was to have it before the primaries, which is in August. So very similar to what, some of you folks who've been on the board have experienced. We are going to use maybe half to 3/4 of our regular meeting in July to have a candidate forum. So it's not going to be debate format. I know last time it was the legislators in our area. We have Representative Iwamoto, who's now a state rep, who was on our board last time as well. So if anyone would like to help to organize this, I would need 1 or 2 volunteers. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I wanted to put on the record that Member Chi and Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink will be helping out. And so we'll just kind of map out the details. So by the time July 11th comes around, then we can have the format all set and have all the candidates, our area legislators and council members be here for everyone to meet. And possibly, hopefully, if we can get CD1 candidates, that would be great. But we're focusing on our local candidates. So, okay, past events. So Ala Moana Historical Association event, that was on May 22nd. I do want to commend Bishop Sura, who was here earlier, for putting this together. I think this has, out of all of our events, this had the most board attendance. We did 6 out of 10, which is totally awesome. So if for future events, I would love to see more of our board members come out. For the folks who were there, does anyone have any comments or wanted to share what went on during that meeting? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Sorry, it's related to another meeting. Did you want to hold me for after you finish this one?
Sure. Anyone that wanted to speak on behalf of that meeting? Well, thank you folks for showing up. And again, we didn't meet community members. So again, your presence is appreciated in the community because this is what we're here for. We have our meetings, but we also have to do our outreach to be able to make impactful differences. Okay, no questions from the community? Thought I heard something. Okay, back to Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. I did want to mention the Chair and Vice Chair meeting. I know you and Vice Chair Rice were unable to attend, but especially for the rest of the board, there was talk of NCO perhaps putting forward a proposal that would limit all board sizes to 9 members and make all districts at large for every neighborhood board on the island. So I just want to mention that there was kind of universal opposition in that chair vice chair meeting from other chairs and vice chairs and myself included, just because for our own neighborhood board, that means losing 2 members and making all of our districts at large. And this came about as a problem from certain neighborhood boards that had many vacancies that were quite long term, and as well as having quite large neighborhood boards, which I just want to mention my comment to them was don't take a sledgehammer, take a scalpel to fix the issue, because we don't have any issues on our neighborhood board with long-term vacancies or quorum or any other issues. So we shouldn't have our board chopped down to size as a result of other neighborhood boards. And back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink. Okay, so as that kind of comes along, hopefully we'll be able to give further updates from NCO on how things are going to be formed or changed as far as structure goes. Okay. Upcoming events. We received an invite from, sorry, Brandon from Kaka'ako, the owner of Kapwa Tattoo. They have an event at the barn, Building 5 on Friday, June 27th from 6 to 10. I mentioned this since I just got this email this afternoon, and it's an event that'll include arts, music, community gathering, and tattoo-related activations. They also have a liquor commission hearing this Thursday, May 28th. So that's one event. Another event is that JL Capital, who has been in our meetings before, has invited us to take tours of the new housing. It's a building that was converted on Amana Street. So if anyone would like to, come up with a group so we can go through it, just let me know. We can probably do it within the next week or so. Do any other board members have any reports on upcoming events? Okay, the time is now 7:35. Sub-district reports. Any sub-district reports? Okay. Okay, let's do Member Farinias and then Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
So quickly recap what I mentioned earlier about the dog owner at large, his warrant for his arrest, then Captain and Sergeant Osachek were here. They still didn't find him, but yeah, we're on the lookout for that in our neighborhood with my neighbors. Her and her dog got mauled by that pit bull. So yeah, so we're keeping a watchful eye on him.
Thank you, Member Farinas, for bringing that up with HPD as well. Any other sub-district reports? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but the graffiti at the parking lot of the former Ross, now Yume Mart. I haven't mentioned it because Yume Mart did open back in January. They did clean up all the graffiti on their specific building, but the parking garage that has the lots and lots of graffiti that's very visible from Keomoku has not been cleaned up. And I want to bring it up, especially because that parking lot is used by both Yume Mart and the Pagoda. And the Pagoda just got through a multi-million-dollar renovation, and the graffiti's still there in the parking garage. So basically, because it's still there, it's not being cleaned up, it's not being taken care of. I probably will come forward with a letter for our next neighborhood board meeting to send to the owners to formally request from our neighborhood board that they actually clean it up and to CC our elected officials, because it's been up there for, I believe, a little over a year now, and it puts a bad reputation on our part of the neighborhood to have that level of graffiti so visible from the major roadway of Keomoku. So I'm hoping that letter could do something, or if our elected officials here and online might want to take an interest in talking to the business owners of Pagoda and Yume Mart to see if they might want to clean it up themselves before we do such a letter.
Thank you. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink. Okay, moving on to.
Sorry, Chair, I just want
Member Chan.
this is just a question because maybe it's suitable for, sub-districts. So within the Moana-Kaka'ako area, we're responsible also for the Makiki First Hawaiian Bank, right? Where the Walgreens is and the pet store, right? Okay. So my question is, which sub-district is that? Because there's been an issue constituents have brought up to me. So what the issue is this, that when you pull in and out of that parking lot, now we're talking about an important community resource. The bank is there, Walgreens is there where people get the prescriptions, the pet store's there. There's a lot of traffic. So what's going on there is that the hedge, when you pull out of the parking lot, blocks the view of the oncoming traffic of the pedestrians. So I had a constituent say to me, they're a young mother with a baby carriage. They're trying to walk across the street. They say they're constantly imperiled by the cars that come out there. So the request is, maybe we can do it just through a sub-district. We don't have to pass resolution. Please trim your hedge, okay? So it's not a hazard to the community, okay? Whose sub-district is that?
Second Vice Chair Vandenberg.
So it would be the Makiki Neighborhood Board because ours cuts off at King Street and the First Hawaiian Bank you're talking about is on South Beretania.
Thank you, Member Chung. And we do have the map here. Thank you for bringing that up because I think it's like right on the same street. It's very similar to how Ward cuts off and, you know, one side is the other neighborhood board. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, the time is now 7:39, residents and community concerns. So I put on the agenda the homeless houses situation involving a sidewalk blockage and towing, which HPD had addressed earlier. I do want to commend the individuals, legislators, and the first responders who really responded quickly. So Rep. Tam's office had cited resources because we had reached out to them. Senator Moriwaki had reached out to Major Okamoto. Deputy Director Yanomini also had reached out for resources. And the urgency to this is interesting because the individual or one of our neighbors had reached out to us because there was I think a van or a converted van that was kind of blocking the sideway or sidewalk. The issue that I had spoken with Sergeant Osachuk was that I think some of the HPD officers had mentioned to our neighbors that they couldn't do anything, but the neighborhood board could. So I wanted to make the distinction that we are a board, we are going to discuss it, but we are not in any way first responders or volunteers. And this is why I really appreciate all those who responded very quickly. And I think that was why Captain District 1 was here to go over it. So just wanted to bring that up. And that's why I kept bringing up Mr. Israel, who unfortunately is not here this evening, but I wanted to let him know that his issue was addressed. Do we have any other community concerns? If you can go up to the mic, sir.
Who's gonna? Good evening. My name is Todd Adams, and I am an owner resident at Ulana Ward Village, a development approved under the HCDA framework in Kaka'ako. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. At the previous neighborhood board meeting, I raised a question to the HCDA concerning how situations are handled when approved building systems may no longer appear to be performing consistently with the assumptions underlying project approval. I am not asking tonight for an immediate response to that question. Instead, I would like to raise a related concern involving access to independent evaluation. For several months, following suggestions previously made to me, I have been attempting to locate engineering firms capable of performing in-unit measurements relating to the ongoing structure-borne vibration condition I have been documenting at Ulana Ward Village, particularly at the outward-facing curtain wall perimeter areas of my unit. Over that time, I have contacted multiple firms in an effort to identify an engineering pathway for evaluation, including WJE, Thornton Tomasetti, and Senseo, along with multiple additional firms, both locally and outside Hawaii. To date, however, I have not identified a clear or workable path forward. Some firms did not respond. Too close? Okay. Some firms do not respond, while others appear to have existing working relationships with the developer. making it difficult to find someone to conduct the necessary evaluation. There are also practical concerns regarding the difficulty and potential expense of obtaining meaningful measurements without cooperation in operational control or representative loading conditions associated with the ACCU equipment involved. It remains unclear what methodological standards, operational conditions, or level of independently commissioned measurements would ultimately be considered sufficient to meaningfully contribute towards resolution of the issue. I am not aware of any in-unit vibration inspection or measurements having been performed within my unit itself by either the developer, their acoustical engineer, or any other retained third-party consultant or engineer. Some of the evaluation activity described to date and reportedly presented to various agencies by the developer, including measurements reportedly taken at stairwell core adjacent structural wall locations, may not directly correspond to the outward facing curtain wall perimeter areas repeatedly identified in my prior documentation and observations. I am placing these concerns into the public record because they raise broader questions regarding how residents, including reserved housing purchasers, are realistically expected to obtain independent technical evaluation when questions arise involving the ongoing performance of large integrated building mechanical systems within approved residential developments. Thank you. That was a lot.
Thank you. Mr. Todd Adams, did we get that right? Yes, that would be great. Yes. Is your contact info on there as well? Okay. Thank you so much for being here this evening, for bringing that up so we can have it on record. So, Member Farinas, Mr. Todd Adams, right?
So, Mr. Adams, are you approaching this subject matter on your own, or is there HOA behind you and pursuing this as well?
I've went through a months-long process with the HOA, and basically they're deferring to the building management and the developer. So I've gone through the developer, building management, the HOA, and I'm currently still in discussions with HCDA.
This is 3 times. Some of that.
No, well, those, as I said in here, they work with the developer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I've contacted many others, and it's a difficult process, yeah. And quite expensive from what I gather.
You'll have the same sentiment towards.
There are
this issue?
others in the building that are affected by it, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams, for being here. Second Vice Chair Vandenberg.
I just had a question, Mr. Adams. Have you been in conversations with the elected officials, Rep. Iwamoto, who's in the room today, or Senator Moriwaki, whose district also includes that area?
Yes. There, yes.
I just recommend that because definitely since you're engaged with HCDA, that's a state agency, the electeds for that area would definitely have a lot more resources and insight that could definitely help you out. And that's one of our primary jobs too, is help bring those issues to them since they have the power and ability to actually look into the issues and get resolutions. So yeah, I just want, I know you mentioned you did it, but just encourage Rep. Iwamoto who's in the room or Senator Moriwaki's office, who hopefully is online, to hopefully they'll take an eye and they'll look into this.
It's a senator, you said.
Senator Moriwaki. She's usually not here with us, but her representative, Alex, is usually here. But we can always message her office on the side to try and make sure she's aware of this issue. Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, we have one community concern from one of our community members online, Ms. Honuaina Nichols.
Mahalo nui, Chair. More so a community announcement. My name is Honuaina Nichols. I'm with the Oahu Hub Learning Community with Kapi'olani Community College in partnership with the Lahui Foundation. I'm a community staff assistant, and I know this actually our last time was with Chris, who might have come to the Moana-Kaka'ako meeting. Just wanted to amplify our community of practice. We are helping to uplift community resilience hubs, and it's a multi-stakeholder community of practice. We meet monthly every third Thursday at 3 p.m. virtually on Zoom. So tomorrow at 3 p.m. would also be another time if you would like to engage or learn more. It's a very calm, welcome space. Let's define quickly what a resilience hub is. It's a trusted gathering site or group that supports year-round community resilience and during a disruption activates to support a coordinated response. So it's not necessarily a brick and mortar site. They can also be defined as 6 people who care and the rest is equipment. So if you know of any community leaders, organizations, and even spaces that have good people in Moana-Kaka'ako, we'd love for them to join into our community of practice. We also have our first Oahu Resilience Hub Summit. So this is an island-wide community design project so that it's Ahupua'a, neighborhood focused, and then into larger moku scales. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Our aims as the hub learning community is to support hubs by fostering continuous learning, build cross-sector partnerships through monthly gatherings, strengthen and coordinate working groups, expand island-wide education and outreach, elevate intergenerational leadership and engagement, connect hubs to each other's partners, training, certifications, funding, and resources, and build a sense of community for hubs. So some of the things that we offer is like monthly certifications. Back in April, we had our psychological first aid that was completely free for anyone who participated. For our upcoming summit, it is now being open to anyone. So it's not just people who are members of our community of practice, but we are opening it up. It will be at Camp Palehua on June 5th and 6th. You have the opportunity to stay overnight, and it will be an active community design process along with for acknowledging the local expertise that would be with us that day. Each participant receives a $200 stipend for participating as well. If you would like to learn more about that event itself, our website is the Oahu Hub Learning Community.org, and that has everything about us, our events, and then also our monthly gatherings. So tomorrow, Thursday, 3 p.m. if you're available, Oahu Hub Learning Community is our information for our website, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. And you mean like Thursday, right? Since today's Tuesday. So 2 days from now.
Thank you. I had my days mixed up. 2 days from now. Thank you.
Thank you. But we do thank you for continuing to engage with us. I believe you came, or the organization, Serene had came here in November and we had canceled our meeting, but they came back for the first meeting of the year. So thank you for continuing to reach out to us and letting us know when your next meeting is.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, the time is now 7:51. We have elected official reports. I have on here that priority will be given to elected officials and or their representatives who are attending in person. So we have our Representative Kim Koko Iwamoto. Thank you for being here this evening, Representative.
Okay. Hi. So I just wanted to let you know that I am going to follow up on the hedge trimming of the strip mall. That's the bank, Petco, and Walgreens across from Queen Kahumanu Elementary School. So I'll just contact them directly. Sure. And then regarding the question about, I think neighborhood board member Chang mentioned, well, don't our neighbors love the military? I did a survey on if we should use state funds to expand military-related, the expansion of military-related presence throughout Hawaii. And the results were overwhelmingly 47% said we should not expand military presence at all. And then 43% said, if you expand military presence, do not use state funds, because there was a bill specifically to give macros $1.3 million of state taxpayer funds to help them do their work. And there were a number of other bills that would have taken state taxpayer funds to help to expand military presence in Hawaii. So there were a number, like 5 different bills that in some way would have expanded, like would have helped the military have, or would have helped us have manufacturing of weapons, for instance, off of the military bases and in the community. Using taxpayer funds. So that's why I surveyed on that question, because I'm like, why are there so many bills using taxpayer funds to expand military operations throughout Hawaii? So that was the results on that one. And 400 responses so far on that survey that we sent out the beginning of April. Last year, we got 600 surveys throughout the year. And so I predict that before the next session starts, if I'm elected, that I'll have that data to go on. I hope more people will respond. Let's see, are there other, we did follow up regarding the noise, construction noise on the streets of Waimanu and Queen. The contractor did use the sound blanket that I think you mentioned. So there was some clarification that we were able to share with Michelle. I don't know, we didn't get a response back from yet if she feels it was helpful at all, but we did reach out to HCDA and they reached out to the contractor. So there are a number of sound dampening things that they tried to do. Also, they did clarify that it's between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. that the noisier parts were done. Yeah, is there any other issue that I should address specifically? That's a harder one. I was just speaking with residents of his building earlier. That's why I was late. But regarding the noise and vibration that he's experiencing, I did tell him that I would reach out. I remember that there was a bill that we got a number of testimonies from developers who were for a bill and a number of law firms that sue developers who are against the bill, and that I will point it out to him so he can look at the testimony of those law firms that sue developers, just to help him, like, not just an engineer, but maybe, a legal team to kind of look at this issue. Like, is it something that other buildings have dealt with and other consumers have experienced? And so at least I can steer you to some resources, not just engineering. But in terms of, yeah, I don't know. So this is all new to me. So I'll keep asking the questions and I'll raise some of these issues. For Ulana, there was also questions about the really huge property tax assessment they got. Some residents there purchased the unit at $550. And now within the first year of living there, they're being assessed $1.1 million value, which is so they're being charged 3 times the amount of taxes they were imagining they would be paying. So that's an issue that the entire building is every single individual owner is dealing with this. So I'm trying to help them, and I reach out to HCDA to help work with HCDA to communicate with the county that because these units have either 2-year, 5-year, or 10-year restrictions, meaning they must sell to HCDA or give HCDA the first opportunity of right of first refusal. And therefore, they're at a lower value, and they wouldn't then, the idea being HCDA would sell it to another income qualified buyer. So it's not going to sell at the 1.1. So why are they being taxed at a 1.1? So at least for the period of their restriction on their deed. And so I am working with HCDA, and I said, give me the table that breaks down each resident or each unit Which one is 2-year restriction, 5-year restriction, and 10-year restriction? Let's give that document to the county so that they can just have it all in one place. So they can just clearly identify which units should be brought down to a more realistic price for how long. Anyway, it's a start. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Representative Yamamoto. Questions? Member Chang.
I just want to state for the record, they're spending over 10% of our total GDP. So they're important to us, and I wouldn't want to dissuade them from continuing to spend their money in Hawaii. Also for national defense. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, but just to, I think maybe because they're the most funded by our federal tax dollars, right? They're the most funded department, whether they're the Department of Defense or the Department of War. They do get the most amount of money, and we all do pay federal taxes. Okay, thanks. Right.
Thank you, Member Chang. Any other questions from the board? Okay, committee members. Representative Yamamoto, thank you for being here this evening. Okay, I see Deputy Director Mark Yonamine on behalf of Mayor Blangiardi's office.
Good evening, Chair Lee and board members. Mark Yonamine, representing Mayor Blangiardi. I have one issue, follow-up from last month. This is regarding the crosswalk timer at Moana Boulevard and Atkinson. So Department of Transportation and Services reported that actually that traffic signals are under the control of DOT on the state side. So they're asking if, if Representative Iwamoto or, our state legislators could follow up with DOT on that issue, because DTS does not control it. And other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Director. And again, we appreciate your response regarding our committee member who brought up the van. So thank you for that. Board member, any questions? Second Vice Chair Van Brick.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my question is related to lighting situation on Kalakaua between the corners of Fern Street and Kapiolani. That area includes a senior housing as well, Kalakaua Homes, I believe it's called. But there is a particular lighting issue where there's several buildings in that area. One of them is abandoned, and another is a maintenance shop, so they don't have exterior lights during the evening, and the street lighting for that area is kind of inadequate, where it gets quite dark along the sidewalks of that road. And in particular, because there is the senior housing there, it can be quite difficult for anyone that wants to walk around there at nighttime because of how dark it is. And I was wondering if you can pose a question to DTS if they would consider adding any additional street lighting for that area to help the people who walk on the sidewalks there at night.
Okay, so this is, sorry, so at Fern and Kapiolani, was that the location?
Yes, between Fern and Kapiolani along Kalakaua.
Okay. We can take a look first, making adjustments to the existing street lights. We have some flexibility that we can make it a little brighter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions from the board or community members, we will move on. Deputy Director Yonamine, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scott Nishimoto or his office representative, are you? Oh,
Chair, they mentioned
they
in the
left
chat.
early. So they did leave their report in the chat for those online who'd like to see that. Okay, Councilmember Tyler Dos Santos Tam or his office representative. I see Malcolm.
Hello, board members. Malcolm from Councilmember DeSantos Tam's office. Councilmember's May newsletter is in the chat if you'd like to take a look. One announcement from us. Next Wednesday is the full council meeting, where they'll be doing the third reading of the city budget ordinances. That's Bill 22 and Bill 23. So please come watch and submit testimony. That's all for me.
Thank you. Questions for Councilmember DeSantos Tam's office? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. I just actually wanted to give a thanks to Councilman Dos Santos Tam. He puts out a lot of informative videos, and one of them was actually talking about the floor area ratio for buildings and how the definition behind that. And so because of that video, I understood more of what OHA was mentioning in relation to the floor area ratio there in their presentation. So I just think Councilmember Dos Santos Tam has some very informative videos. So I just wanted to give that shout out and thanks to him.
Okay, if there are no further questions from the board or community members, Mr. Malcolm Iwami, thank you for being here this evening on behalf of Councilmember Tyler DeSantos Tam's office.
Thank you.
Representative Ikaika Olds, are you or your representative online? Okay, so I do want to acknowledge him since he did show up for that AMNHA meeting on Friday. I think he was the only elected, so thank you for him being there. Representative Adrian Tam, I see you online.
I'm here. Thanks for having me, Chair Lee, and members of the board. I posted my newsletter into the chat, and I gave out some physical copies at the board, but you can also access it at the Capitol website under my page. The Maze newsletter was printed and approved when session was still going on, so the bills in it are so when it says bills moving forward, just understand that some of them have died. I can tell you that HB 2505, HB 1946, and SB 2367 all passed. Those were the three that passed at least that I know. And there are others. I'll have a full recap in my end of letter session newsletter that will be mailed to the residents of this board jurisdiction that I represent. And I will bring physical copies of that to the next board meeting. With that, I'll keep it short and I'll open it up to any questions you may have for me.
Thank you, Representative Tam. Questions from the board for Rep. Tam? Questions from the community? Okay, and again, I commend your office as well for responding to that Kaka'ako issue with the ban, so appreciate that. Hey, thank you for being here this evening. Senator Moriwaki or her representative from her office? I thought I saw Mr. Kopshi. Oh, okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everybody. So I'm Joseph Kopshai. I'm out of Senator Moriwaki's office. I just wanted to recap some stuff that to cover. First, we just had sign die. So the legislature is now gone, has come to an end, or the session has come to an end. During that time, we passed 268 bills. That includes 13 from our office that we worked with other offices as well to pass. Going forward, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're out of the woods yet and all of these bills will become law. There's still the opportunity for them to be vetoed, so we'll be paying close attention to that. And during the interim, we're going to be focusing on any constituent concerns. So I know somebody had come up and it sounded like it was possibly a state issue. So if possible, I saw that he had handed it off to the board. If possible, if a member of the board could email that to myself or Senator Moriwaki's office so that if applicable, we can get involved and help see that through to some sort of a resolution. Other than that, one of the things that I do for Senator Moriwaki is I work on the capital improvement budget. So it's something I'm very passionate about. We were able to get several projects through that are going to be great for our district. Some of the ones that again, I'm passionate about are going to be the beach restoration projects and seeing those start to come to fruition. Other than that, I'm here for any questions and don't want to waste anybody's time.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph Kopsha, for being here. Questions for Senator Marwaki's office? Okay, and if we could send our thanks to Senator Marwaki, she was actually the one that connected us with Major Okamoto to kind of close out that thread of that homeless houses situation. So again, thank you to Senator Marwaki.
Thank you. I'll pass that along.
Okay, the time is now 8:08. We have Governor Josh Green's representative. I saw Ashton Stallings earlier.
Yes. Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I sent the governor's newsletter link in the chat as well as a link to where you can subscribe. It goes out monthly. You guys know the drill. Lots of great information. And this month's newsletter, it features details of various state agencies partnering together for efforts during the recent Kona low storms to support impacted communities, which included rescues, evacuations, clean water distribution, debris removal, road repairs, and disaster recovery assistance. Again, this is all detailed in the newsletter. There's pictures. You can see all the different agencies as well. It's also so nice just to see everyone coming together. The state is also providing recovery support for residents and businesses through emergency tax relief, which we kind of talked about at last month's meeting as well, insurance claim assistance, disaster case management services, as well as expanded health and infrastructure support to help communities recover more quickly and safely. And then so inside the digital newsletter, there are links to all of these services and resources. So definitely check it out. But I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ashton Stallings. Questions for Gov's office? Board, community members? Okay, thank you for being here this evening. We're now moving on to agency reports. Do we have HCDA? Okay, I did see an email from HCDA addressing Ms. Michelle Opatek's concern. I haven't gone through it, but I saw it right before we started the meeting, so I just wanted to put that on the record that they were addressing her issue. Hart, do we have an individual from, I see Mr. Harry Cho.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Harry Cho with Hart. One announcement I have is regarding our last station design workshop, which is for the downtown station, and that'll be held on June 10th, 6 p.m. at HPU's Multipurpose Room 3. So we welcome everyone to join us there. And I guess one pre-announcement that I have that I'll kind of be sharing a little bit more about next month is Hart's construction through Halekawila Street and the Kaka'ako area. Everyone is aware of what's going on through the Dillingham corridor and along Nimitz Highway in downtown. But we also will have upcoming construction activity through Halekawila Street as well. And I guess I can share a little bit more about that next month when I have some more details finalized. But that's all I have, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cho. Questions from the board? Questions from our community? Okay, good to go. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, upcoming events, we have the Festa Italiana on June 6th, the 109th King Kamehameha Celebration Floral Parade on June 13th, 35th Annual Honolulu AIDS Walk on June 27th. This, our second Vice Chair Vandenbrink is very much involved in this. The 2026 Honolulu Night Market on July 18th. We do have the Honolulu.gov website for all the events this year. We spoke about this last month as well. Registered members should have already received your notice in the mail. And we have our social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram. Our next Action Committee meeting will be on June 10th. Regular board meeting will be on Tuesdays. Thank you to Olelo for broadcasting our wonderful board meetings. And the time is now 8:12. Our meeting is adjourned.